My name is Kerrie, and my goal is to inspire healing and meaning in all areas of life. In this podcast, we will dive deep into conversations. From heartbreak to freedom, we will explore different self-care modalities, learn to be the best expressions of ourselves, and to live with purpose. I'm here to offer my personal insights and to share my story in hopes that it will guide you on your path. This is Heal with Care, a journey of self-discovery. The last time I saw him, he was in the back of the truck bed. I was by myself. I didn't know how I was going to feel, so I quickly turned around. As I walked towards my apartment door, it hit me. The tears started to flow and my heart started to grieve. This was much harder than I thought it was going to be. Everything was happening so quickly. I was feeling a mixture of emotions, feelings of relief, feelings of gratitude, feelings of my heart breaking, all at the same time. I was making a big decision and letting go a big part of my life. Having had dogs in my home for the past 15 years, I've come to realize that pets truly become part of the family. As the one responsible for them, I can't help but feel like a parent. I take on the role of their caregiver, ensuring that they have everything that they need: food, water, exercise, and of course, mental stimulation. So when that animal is no longer around, there is a feeling of emptiness. Dogs have a way of making you feel on top of the world. When you come home from having the worst day, all you have to do is open your front door and you're greeted with excitement and tail wagging. They are just genuinely so happy to see you. There hasn't been one human in the world that could ever be so excited to see me than how a dog sees me. Dogs are truly special. They are definitely a woman's best friend. After my 12-year relationship ended, I was left with 2 dogs in my care: Lexi, a senior Yorkshire Terrier, and Stryker, a young American Foxhound. Stryker was full of energy, and he was the one who kept me going. He was the one who got me out of my apartment to move my body and to get the exercise I needed to feel better. Because I was going through heartache, I know that without him, I might not have gotten out of bed. I would have stayed there feeling sorry for myself. In this episode, I'll be sharing a deeply personable and challenging story, a moment in my life where I wish I could have done more, had more, and been more. I found myself faced with making a very tough decision that changed my life. When I met my ex, he had a dog named Yukon, a massive 125-pound dog, and I had a little Yorkshire Terrier named Lexi. These two were really something. People would always laugh and point at them and say, "big and little." At the dog park, Lexi was incredibly sassy, knowing that her big brother would always back her up. If anyone dared to pick on her, Yukon would come running to step in and protect her. I've never witnessed a bond like these two had. Yukon passed in the summer of 2019 at almost 12 years old. Losing him was very tough on me because this was the first time I had witnessed what it was like to put down a dog. I could see his muscles were deteriorating, and I believe his organs were starting to shut down. He wasn't eating his food. He started to have fever. He no longer had the energy to walk, and he was always staring blankly at the wall. He was suffering, and deep down we knew it was time. As I watched him take his last breath, it started to create this deep feeling of emptiness. After that day, I couldn't stand walking through my front door because each time I'd come home, I'd break down in tears. Lexi was there to greet me, but because Yukon was so big and took up so much space, now the place felt empty. After that day, I knew I wouldn't want to go through that again. What helped me through this difficult time was that Yukon had sent me so many signs that he was okay. He even appeared unexpectedly in one of my meditations months after his passing. Less than a year after his passing, COVID was all over the news and the lockdown happened. Everyone was homebound. During this time, my ex decided that he wanted to get another dog. Looking back at the situation, I can see there were signs that we weren't on the same page. My opinions, reasoning, and logic didn't seem to matter. Anything I said about this decision was disregarded, and it felt like it was a decision that had already been made and not a decision we were going to make together. He knew what he wanted, and I had no say in it. Since I was working from home, I knew the responsibility of raising and training a puppy would fall on me. There's no avoiding the needs of an animal, especially in its early years. I believe that when a dog joins the household, everyone needs to be aligned on its training, otherwise the puppy will struggle to understand its boundaries. Dogs are smart and they can read your body language, feel your energy, and they know who they can go to when they want something. In my situation, I felt like I didn't have a choice. We brought Stryker home in the spring of 2020. I continue working from home, but now I had to also train and care for a new puppy. What eased the idea of this puppy was the signs and synchronicities when we were on our way to pick him up. I had learned that consecutive numbers were a sign from the universe that I was in flow. I started to notice the patterns. It felt almost magical. First of all, he was dog number 2 on the listing. On the way there, I kept seeing 222 on license plates. Then when we exited the highway, it was exit 222. His birthday was February 20th, 2020. It's like 02/20/2020. All twos. Is this a coincidence? By now you would know that I don't believe in coincidences. I knew this was a sign from the universe sending me this puppy for whatever reason. No matter how much I was resisting him, he was supposed to be in my life, and I truly believe that. When we got home, I couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. I had so much love for this puppy, but at the same time, I felt resentful towards my partner for placing all this responsibility on me. Every day, the puppy tested my patience, and every day, I worked hard to shift my perspective. I remember the first time he waited patiently for his food. I couldn't believe he was beginning to understand the boundaries we had set for him. I took him to every training sessions, determined to help him grow and learn. I also put in so much effort to help him manage his anxiety, especially in the city. He was terrified of people and anything on wheels. I spent countless moments sitting with him, helping him wait as bikes and strollers and skateboards went by, teaching him to stay calm. There was so much we experienced together, moments of frustration, progress, and connection. Right before Stryker's birthday, it was decided that we were going to go our separate ways. We were discussing what we were going to do with the dogs. I was immediately told that my ex couldn't take Stryker, the dog he had originally wanted. I didn't know what to do. I was so blinded by grief, so I decided I was going to keep him. I couldn't bear a breakup as well as having to rehome a dog all at the same time. Taking on 2 dogs with 2 different dynamics wasn't easy, but I was committed to giving these dogs the best life possible. Every morning and evening, I walked both dogs separately, and I'd take Stryker on a 40 to 60 minute walk. And I made sure to bring him to the dog park every few days after work. As a hound dog, he was very vocal about everything and full of energy and super independent. He was also timid with other people, but loved playing with dogs. He was such a unique character. At one point, I found myself at a crossroads, facing tough financial hardships. My ex agreed to continue paying for the dog food, but I had to cover the cost of dog sitting whenever I had to go away from home for work or if I needed a breather. It was becoming more and more difficult to manage. I still felt energetically tied to my ex through Stryker, and supporting both dogs on my own was becoming unmanageable. Despite all the sacrifices I was making, trying different brands of foods, eating at home, buying what was on sale, using coupons, it still wasn't enough to afford this lifestyle. I would need to take on another job, but that would mean I couldn't spend any time with my dogs. I realized I was running little on sleep. Since my breakup, I was also physically exhausted, and I was now experiencing emotional breakdowns. Life felt overwhelming once again as I struggled to find balance. I realized I was too worn out to keep going on this way, and I had to make a decision that was sustainable for my future. The one thought I contemplated a lot was, am I going to be tied to my ex for the rest of my life through Stryker? Would I ever be able to fully move on from that connection? I had moved on with my life, but Stryker still kept the bridge between me and my ex. I understand that having a dog is a lifetime commitment, not something temporary. It demands patience, consistency, and energy. I tend to give it my all in everything that I do, and with my dogs, I was determined to ensure they lived their best life. I took him to every dog-friendly park I can find so that we can explore outdoors together. I even tried paddleboarding and camping with him, wanting to share as many adventures with him as possible. But I was hard on myself when I was too exhausted to take him for a walk. I constantly felt overwhelmed and scattered. One day I realized I had absently-mindedly packed my leftover foods and put it in the cupboard instead of the fridge. I completely lost it. It felt like I couldn't catch a break, and I started to question whether I could keep going. Every day I kept telling myself, just one more day, tomorrow will get better. I had been in touch with Stryker's litter brother's family, and they were incredibly kind, offering me a break as I took time to think things over. They even considered adopting him, which would have been a huge relief since I'd still be able to visit him whenever I wanted to. I held off on finding him a home in hopes that they would take him. It was an emotional roller coaster ride. I think the situation I was in was something I really had to sit with myself. My family and friends were unable to provide me with any support that I needed, and I remember when I reached out to my local dog community to see if there was anyone out there who could help when I had nowhere else to turn. I could feel the judgment through people's comments. No one understood my situation, and I felt like I did not have any support. After much delay and contemplation, I decided to write a detailed description of Stryker and his needs to see if anyone would give him a good home. During this time, a lot of people were giving up their dogs to go back to work, so finding him a good home was very slim. A few people reached out, but none of them felt like the right fit. As time passed, I started to lose hope that I'd ever find a home where he would truly receive the love and care that he needed. This was an incredibly difficult period for me because I wasn't sure if I was making the right decision. A good friend who lived in another city reminded me that I had done everything that I could and that they had seen firsthand how much I had done to give him the best possible life and sacrificing so much in the process. Stryker was such a good dog, and I know that he deserved the very best. A home with someone who wanted the best for him as much as I did for him. After months of searching, I nearly gave up. Then after 9 months of caring for Stryker on my own, my ex finally told me that he had the capacity to take care of Stryker now. I felt an enormous sense of relief and planned to have him pick up Stryker the following week. But just a couple days before he was supposed to go with my ex, I realized I'd forgotten to take one of the ads down that I had posted. And out of the blue, 2 people reached out to me asking if they could adopt him. One was a family with 3 kids, and the other was a young couple who already had a hound dog. I decided to meet the young couple who had their dog to see if they'd be a good match. When they arrived, we weren't sure how Stryker and their dog would get along, so we started with a walk around the block. Once they seemed comfortable, we let them off leash in a fenced-in area. The moment they were off leash, it was like magic. They clicked instantly. They were about the same size, full of energy, and they played beautifully together. At that moment, I knew that the universe stepped in to find Stryker the perfect home. He was going to have a companion to keep him company every day, and the couple's love for hiking and adventures promised an active and fulfilling life for him. In my heart, I was certain that Stryker would thrive with this couple. He'd have a life filled with excitement, activity, and a buddy who matched his size and energy. It intuitively felt like the right choice, so I decided to let him go with them instead of handing him over to my ex. I knew in my heart that I was making the right decision for him. The couple was so excited, I handed him over and gave them Stryker's toys and accessories, feeling happy for him and his new adventures that awaited. Still, a part of me wished that I could have done more for him. I wished I had the money and the space to keep him, but as I faced burnout and emotional breakdowns, I knew deep down that he wasn't meant to be part of my future. I received an update that he's doing great and that the extended family really loves him and he's adjusting well. Every day I miss him and I wonder how he's doing, but I decided to stop reaching out for updates so that I can let go and allow him to live his life with his new family. Though I wish I could follow his adventures, I know it's time that I let go so that we can both focus on living our lives the way we're meant to live. Looking back, I realized Stryker had a purpose in my life. Even though I initially resisted getting him, he came into my world to help me through an incredibly difficult time. He was there when I needed him the most, and for that, I will always be grateful. Saying goodbye was one of the most difficult things I've ever had to face. But it reminded me that love isn't always about holding on and pushing through. Sometimes it's about knowing when to let go. Stryker helped me navigate one of the most challenging times in my life, and in doing so, he led me to love again. If it weren't for him, I may never have searched for activities to do with dogs, and that's when I discovered paddleboarding. It was because of him that I was able to find love again. He got me moving when I was ready to give up, and he taught me that I have the strength to keep moving forward. Stryker was an angel that was sent to help me during a time when I needed it the most. He fulfilled his purpose the 2.5 years he lived with me, and now he's off to his forever home, where he can have lots of new adventures and where he can bring joy, love, and excitement to another family. Thank you so much for listening in. I hope you found this episode insightful. If you feel called to, please share this podcast, subscribe to it, and leave a rating and review. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, you can email me at healwithcare@gmail.com or follow me on Instagram at healwithcare. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next episode.